Well, all right, folks, we have critical mass, so we'll go ahead and get our meeting started. Welcome everybody to the July 14th, 2025 City Council meeting. I'll call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Welcome members of the public here this evening. Before we get started with our agenda, if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you very much. So, Ms. Trimble, will you go ahead and do a roll call for us?
Absolutely. Good evening. Roll call beginning with Anderson. Present. Becerra.
Present.
Campbell.
Here.
Carlino.
Present.
Farmer.
Present.
Jones.
Present.
Jordan.
Present.
Nelson. Absent. Nugent.
Present.
Savage. Absent.
Yes.
Cheryl.
Present.
Vasika.
Present.
We do have a quorum.
All right. Thank you very much. We have minutes on the agenda from June 23rd, 2025. Do any council members have any questions or changes they'd like to see in those minutes? Okay, not seeing any and not seeing any online. So those minutes will remain as submitted. Thank you. Next up, item number 3 is our committee schedule for this coming Wednesday, and that is for July 16th, 2025. Ms. Trimble, would you go ahead and review that with us, please?
Yeah, there are no committee or changes from the posted schedule, and it should be a pretty regular day.
Great. Pretty regular day. It looks like it's a 9 to 3 schedule. All right. Thank you very much. So next we'll move on to special presentations and proclamations, and it's also an opportunity for me to mention any changes to the agenda. We do have a notified and a noticed change to tonight's agenda, which is item 5.1, the Old Post Hospital demolition permit appeal. This item was postponed. There was an administrative mistake that necessitated us to do some greater public outreach. So we wanted to make sure that the proper notice was in place. We value participation by everyone, wanted to make sure that folks had that proper notification. So this item was postponed and it will be back on your agenda, I would imagine, here shortly. I don't have a date for that. Wasn't notified by the department, the CPDI department that is managing this, and it'll go through committee for the public hearing to get scheduled and then put back on city council agenda. We don't have any neighborhood council updates. Oh, I should say, if anybody is here for public comment on 5.1, even though it says postponed, we won't be holding any public comment during that time, but you can make public comment during items not on the agenda. In regards, no neighborhood council updates, but we do have a proclamation. So our proclamation this evening is in collaboration with Missoula County, and it is in regard to Wildfire Smoke Ready Week. And so Claire will go ahead and share that on the screen, and I'll go ahead and start to read it. Whereas wildfire smoke poses a serious and growing threat to public health, and new research demonstrates the dangers of smoke exposure. Wildfire smoke can easily infiltrate indoor spaces, creating unhealthy conditions both outdoors and indoors. And whereas exposure to wildfire smoke is linked to worsened asthma attacks, decreased lung function, aggravated COPD symptoms, increased susceptibility to infectious diseases, increased risk of heart attacks and strokes, impaired cognitive function, and higher rates of hospitalizations and deaths. And whereas the National Interagency Fire Center's outlook for 2025 forecasts significant wildfire potential across much of the western United States, including regions that contribute smoke to our area. And whereas the Climate Ready Missoula Plan recognizes that our summers and early fall are becoming hotter and drier, wildfire season is getting longer, wildfire smoke is an increasing risk, and we need to enact proactive strategies to reduce harm. And whereas Missoula Public Health and Climate Smart Missoula have resources to help residents understand wildfire smoke risks and take steps to reduce exposure, including guidance on creating indoor air filters and finding places with clean air. And whereas effective public messaging and outreach focused on the dangers of wildfire smoke and how individuals can protect themselves are essential for individual preparedness during wildfire season. Therefore, be it resolved, we, Missoula County and the City of Missoula, do hereby proclaim July 12th through the 19th, 2025 as Wildfire Smoke Ready Week, and to inform and educate Missoula County and city residents about the hazards wildfire smoke present and how to mitigate against those hazards. Now, we don't have anybody necessarily here from the city or county who brought this proclamation forward, although I do see we have some leadership here with the Missoula Fire Department. Please don't hesitate if you wish to stand up and say a few words. No pressure if you don't. And I also appreciate your service in our interagency work in terms of wildfire mitigation and preparedness. Thank you. And I will say that, it is in the 90s and it is windy out there, and it is weather that reminds us that wildfire smoke is potentially right around the corner. So please be careful out there. All right. Thank you. So that is, yes. Oh, yes. Sure. Counselor Jordan, you bet.
Thanks. I just wanted to make a comment about this because my buddy, who is a professor of integrative physiology and athletic training at the University of Montana, Professor John Quindry, actually wrote an article recently that was published in The Conversation about wildfire smoke and how it can make your outdoor workout hazardous to your health. And it's an article that's specific to where we live, and it explains how to gauge your risk. And just a quick, if you don't mind, a quick paragraph to summarize what he wrote about, because it's just been published. But it says, as the summer encourages outdoor activity, it overlaps with wildfire season, especially in North America, where hotter, drier conditions have intensified wildfires and increased air pollution from smoke. The smoke contains fine particulate matter, which is small enough to enter the lungs and bloodstream, triggering inflammation and increasing the risk of chronic diseases like heart and lung conditions. While exercise is beneficial, researchers are now studying how even short-term exposure to wildfire smoke during physical activity can negatively affect blood vessel and nervous system function, particularly in individuals with heightened stress responses. Without clear thresholds tailored to health status, people are advised to monitor air quality through tools like AirNow, limit exercise intensity and duration when smoke levels are elevated, and consider factors like time of day and pre-existing conditions when deciding to exercise outdoors. And so just a big shout out to Professor Quindry, my friend, who's doing really great research in this area locally. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And Professor Quindry for solid contemporary research. Thank you. All right. That wraps up our proclamation. And as noted earlier, the one public hearing that was scheduled has been postponed. So we have no further public hearings this evening. And that brings us to our next agenda item, which is the consent agenda. And so I am aware of one item requested to be separated. Thank you, Councilor Vasika. And so we'll go ahead and start with Ms. Trimble, if you'll go ahead and share the consent agenda on screen and read that aloud for participants. Thank you.
All right. On this evening's consent agenda, we actually have 3 sections for accounts payable due to a couple weeks off. So first off, we have a motion to ratify accounts payable for claims or checks dated July 1st, 2025 in the amount of $6,347,930.70. We have another motion to ratify accounts payable for checks dated July 8th, 2025 in the amount of $1,553,174.49. And finally, a motion to approve accounts payable for checks dated July 15th in the amount of $3,120,613.74. Moving on, we have a motion to adopt the resolution that in order to protect renters, promote fair competition, and support an affordable housing market, the City of Missoula opposes the use of anti-competitive rental practices, including the use of price-fixing algorithmic software, and strongly urges landlords within the city to refrain from using such practices or software. We have a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with CXT Incorporated in the amount of $93,966 to purchase and install a Typo double occupancy vault restroom in Greeno Park. We have a motion, which is a first reading of an ordinance revising MMC, Missoula Municipal Code 8.02, adopting the Missoula City County Health Code by reference to incorporate revisions to Regulation 1, which is wastewater treatment and disposal systems as approved by the Health Board, and setting a public hearing on August 25th, 2025 for the same. And that concludes our consent agenda.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Trimble. We will go ahead and take public comment now on the consent agenda. So if there are any members of the audience here, we'll start with folks in the room wishing to make public comment on the consent agenda. I'm not seeing any in the room. Anybody online wishing to make public comment on the consent agenda? Okay, I'm not seeing any public comment on the consent agenda. Councilor Basika has asked that item 8.4 be separated from the vote, so we'll do that. But before doing so, are there any other items wishing to be separated? Okay, and we'll go ahead and take the vote on the rest of the consent agenda and then hear 8.4 and speak to it then. Is that okay?
I don't need to speak to it.
Okay, great. All right, well, we'll go ahead and we will do a voice vote on items 8.1 to 8.3, skipping 8.4, and then 8.5, 8.6, please.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 And any opposed? All right, that portion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. And then item 8.4, we'll go ahead and we'll do a roll call vote on that agenda item. It has been separated out from the consent agenda.
Give me 1 second to queue that up.
Thank you.
All right, voting on item 8.4, the resolution of the City of Missoula against anti-competitive rental practices, beginning with Anderson.
Yes.
Becerra. Campbell.
No.
Carlino.
Yes.
Farmer.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Nugent.
Yes.
Cheryl.
Yes.
And Basika.
No.
That's 8 in favor, 2 opposed. That does pass.
Okay. Thank you all very much. That does wrap up our consent agenda. So moving into regular business, we have none. So we'll now move on to public comment on non-agenda items. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to items not on the agenda tonight?
Big K, Montana. You're looking at a cancer in the city called road problems. Me as a bicyclist, I gotta be really careful of where I ride my bicycle. The cancer is gonna get worse, and you, the taxpayers, are gonna have to pay for it. Not that bad. Tomorrow is a date of May 18th. Of May 16th, on that wonderful, delicious word called a Tromanized Santa Claus. That'll be in my repertoire for infamy, as this individual said it on the bus in the recording. Nobody wants to embrace it for the fact of the matter, how it's enjoyed by you people and the city of Missoula. This has been going on for 2 years. No, what happened on Mountain Line is no different than what happened June 30th a year ago when my bicycle was stabbed. I take it as a personal assault to myself. And that's the second time. And what's worse yet, it was done underneath the camera of the facility. And nobody cared. And I literally had to bring the bicycle down to the police station to have it documented. That means that nobody cared even more. When I get threatened March 17th of 2023 by 3 individuals, and the individuals that oversee that place embrace the threatening ones and they stick it to me. And this has all been documented through emails. But the assault on the bus is a game. And tomorrow it goes to court and I'll be there representing myself, that I was the victim. And who's the advocate of it all? Everybody. And how I realize things, it will be in infamy to myself. It's indelible. Being threatened, being embraced by the people that advocate it, and empowering them is everything to be realized.
Thank you, Mr. Montana. Other members of the public wishing to make public comment this evening? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody. Anybody online? All right. No hands raised. So that does wrap up our public comment on items not on the agenda. Next, it's like maybe potentially the fastest city council meeting on record. Communications from the mayor. I don't really have any. Stay safe out there. Make sure that you, we're in high fire danger. And thanks for paying attention to that and helping us all have a good summer. So I'll go ahead and hand it to my new neighbor over here, Councilor Nugent.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. I will go ahead and pass tonight.
Okay.
I'm not in habit back yet, so.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Campbell.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't recall whether or not we were in session since some tragic events have taken place in the last couple of weeks. First off, the flooding down in Texas and what's going on there. Just horrible, what's happened. And it just, there's been a lot of finger pointing since then, but I think we need to focus on, the loss of life. And, my heart goes out to those folks down there, the families, the parents, the children. But I think it is behoove of us to make sure that we maintain both state, local, but nationally, a robust, weather warning system in place that has the ability to inform people, give them the best information of, upcoming danger, be it with fire, be it with floods, be it avalanche warnings, what have you, that we have the ability to give the best information possible so people can make informed decisions, and then the system in place that actually gets that information out there. One thing I always tell people is make sure you have a battery-powered radio on hand, because usually in storm-like situations or extreme weather, power goes out. If you don't have a generator, well, you've lost your TV, you've lost your internet. Sometimes cell phone coverage is affected or it's overloaded, and having that radio on hand to listen to weather, emergency data, and anything that's put out through emergency broadcast, you still have that ability. So, I hope, going forward, the takeaway lessons learned would be, just make sure that, we maintain those systems and that we have the professionals in place to, adequately, give us the information we need so we can make, better decisions with events like that. And then secondly, the loss of life and, the homicides that have taken place in Coeur d'Alene with the firefighters. It's not merely the loss of life. It was a planned ambush, a planned attack carried out, cost the life of 2 firefighters. And for me, it just drives home, the idea that I know so well that, emergency services, not just police, but the whole integrated system. I mean, you're putting your lives out there, putting your lives at risk every day you go out there and do this job. And it's not necessary for the things that you would expect, firefighters, fighting fire, absolutely that's dangerous. But, this is why my later years of working in law enforcement, we integrated our training with firefighters, with EMS, and, for like active shooter situations or, improving our communications amongst all those different levels of emergency services. So situations like this arise, we could address them with good efficacy. Although, this situation, situations like this, how do you plan for that when someone has an intent to, commit a cowardly act like this and, take life like this? And so I really struggle with, situations like this that hit, relatively close to home in Coeur d'Alene. And just unfortunate, my thoughts, my prayers go out to families of those that were murdered, and as well as, my thoughts and prayers for, the folks that do firefighting, be it urban firefighting, rural firefighting, our fire crews during forest fire season. It's tough work, it's arduous work, it's backbreaking work, and, it just brings home, being mindful of all of that. So that's all I had.
Thank you for your comments, Councilor Campbell. Councilor Carlino.
And I can pass tonight.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Farmer.
I'll also pass.
All right. Councilor Jones. Okay. Councilor Vasika.
I'll pass, thanks.
You bet. I'm going to go around the horseshoe. Councilor Jordan.
I'll pass, thanks.
You bet. Councilor Cheryl.
Me too.
Okay. How about for council members online? Does anybody wish to make public comment tonight, or council comment tonight? Okay.
I just want to echo what Councilman Campbell said, and I want to thank the members of the Missoula Fire Department who represented Missoula at the memorial service for the fallen firefighters in Coeur d'Alene.
Yes.
As Councilman said, very sad situation, and glad that we were able to be there to support our brothers and sisters.
Very much so. Yes, thank you. All right. Thank you for your comments, Councilor Anderson. With that, I do believe that wraps up our council comments this evening. And so with that, we are going to go ahead and adjourn our meeting at 6:25 p.m. Enjoy your evening.